read the title, you probably saw the thumbnail. I'm going to show you exactly how to build these animated tab sliders inside of React with only Tailwind CSS, your regular hooks, and inline styles. Alright, so what I have here is a very simple tabs component, and inside of here I have a tabs array which has a couple of tab objects, and inside of each object you have an ID at the title. As you can see here, I'm mapping through that array, and then I'm rendering out tabs as buttons. Now you can see inside here I have the tab title, and I have an onClick event which is then setting the current tab which I'm storing in a state here, and I'm setting or identifying the current tab by the tab ID. Now I have a ref here which is essentially a reference to a DOM node, and that DOM node is to identify this particular parent div here. Now the width of this parent div is what we'll be concerned about. I'm going to explain that later on. But as for now, you have as well this self-closing div, which is going to be the tab indicator, like you saw earlier, that was moving across all of these options. So what we're going to do is that the first thing we want to do is we want to get the width of that indicator. And in order to get the width of the indicator, we also need to get the width of each of the individual tabs. And how we're going to do that is by writing a very simple function here. And this is just going to be a very simple arrow function, DOM. So we just want to check whether this tab ref is not null. So we'll say const the parent width is equal to just a tab ref dot current dot get bounding client rect. And if you didn't know, this bounding client rect allows you to access measurement related properties relating to a particular elements in the DOM. So if you click on dots, you can see a couple of options here. You can check for the X position, the Y position, so the X position, the Y position, the width, the height, the top, the left, bottom, as well as so many more options here, as you can see. But what we'll be concerned about is just the width. Now, to get the individual widths of each tab, what do you think we're going to do? Exactly, we want to divide the parent width by the number of tabs we have here. So we're going to get the number of tabs. And this would basically just be the tabs.length. Then we say const the new tab width will be equal to the parent width divided by the number of tabs. And then we can just set the tab width to the new tab width. And this function right here is going to set this particular tab width. Now what we want to do to make it dynamic is to use an effect. So that's depending on the width of, let's say, a device, it can dynamically change and adjust its width based on that. And inside of here, we're going to have a dependency array. And the dependency is obviously just going to be the tabs.length, because that's what we want to observe and make sure dynamically changes as well. So if this changes, the DOM or the width of each tab should change as well. So inside of here, we're going to create a new resize observer to check whether the window has been resized, just to observe that change. So we're going to call this resize observer. And here we're going to have a new resize observer. And inside of here, we want to pass in our function, the update width. So this is the function that should be called whenever the window is resized. So I'm just going to call it initially here once. So what I'm going to say is if ref, or rather tab ref.current, what I want to do is resize observer.observe, and what we want to be observing in this case with the tab ref.current. And in order to properly write our use effect function, we need to pass in a cleanup function as well. And what we can do is just replicate this exact same function, but we need to unmount it from the DOM. So instead of observe, we're going to unobserve. Now with these two blocks of code, essentially we've written 90% of the logic that we need to create the animated tabs. So what we want to do is we're going to come down to this particular div, and we just want to add some styles to it. So we're going to say is give it an absolute, an inset of 0, a BG white, so we can see it, rounded 4, right? And instead of style, because Tailwind CSS will not be dynamic across resizes, so we're not going to use Tailwind CSS classes for this. We're going to use inline styles. So we're going to add our width here, and instead of the width, we're just going to pass in the tab width here. Right, pass in our tab width. Now, inside of our button, what we want to do is pass in the same width as well and make it inline likewise. So say style, and then pass in the width here as tab width. All right, now let's come here and reload the page, and as you can see, we have a big white circle here, which is indicating the current tab. Now we have an icon that indicates the current tab, and if you click on that one, you can see that nothing happens. So what we want to do is translate this indicator based on the current tab. Before we do that, as you can see that this particular indicator is covering this text here. So in order to make it such that when the tab is, or the indicator is above the particular tab, you can still see the text behind it, we can use a mix blend. And use a mixed blend of exclusion. So now what happens is it creates a max in a way such that the text is still visible regardless of the white background that this possesses. So what we're going to do in order to make this translate on our x-axis, so what we want to do is want to translate this, and we're just going to write a very simple function inside of our x for the x value here, but the y value will always remain the same at 0 pixels. So in order to translate along the x-axis, what we want to do is we're going to get the current tab multiplied by the tab width, and it will allow us to properly translate on the x-axis. So if you click on the home, it translates. If you click on features, it goes there as well. Now, in order to make the transition a lot smoother, what we're going to add is a transition from Tailwind, a transition class. I'll just give it a transition of all. And now we have a very smooth animation here, and we're already like 95% all the way there. So just to make this a bit better, we can just add a duration of 300. And now we have a very smooth animation as we go across the board. So essentially that's all the code you need. And if you resize the window, it also resizes the tabs. If you reduce the size, it also reduces the size as well. So this is completely responsive and it's tailored to every device. I currently use this on one of my clients' projects, and currently they absolutely love it. They love the animated tabs on their websites, and I'm really proud of this solution that I've come up with. So if you love this video and you found this helpful, drop a like in the comments, hit that subscribe button, because I'll be dropping way more videos that will help you become a better React developer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.